sometimes that's what it takes to get your foot in the door, is showing that you can do the things that other people don't want to do. So I didn't get a lot of ice time, but when I was out there, I knew I was going to do what my coach asked of me, which, I think
that role, right?
It was that role, that fourth line role, hitting guys, blocking shots, doing the little things.
Welcome to the Hockey Review Podcast.
To become the best, you have to surround yourself with the best.
That's what we're working on, skills that translate.
Wait, so it's like a parade?
Yeah, it was a parade.
No way, they had like a parade. Pretty chaotic start for sure, but that was junior hockey for me. What's up, hockey players and parents? Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Review Podcast. Today, I'm joining here with University of Oregon forward Jackson Ebbott. How's it going, man?
It's been great, dude. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I mean, you're here for break, so how's break been treating you out here?
It's been good. I've been a little sick, so trying to get over that, but, enjoying my time home with family and friends.
Yeah, man. I mean, so you kind of have a very interesting story because I know you really bounced around a bit. You kind of, you played here, then you went to go play in Canada, then prep school, and then you kind of had a few teams in junior, and then, all to end up in Oregon, which is, 6 schools. So definitely want to hear your perspective on things and your journey. So give us a little background of how you got playing here, first of all, in LA.
Yeah, I think the story goes a little further than that. I was born in LA, but my family actually moved to Toronto when I was 6, and we lived there for 4 years. So when I lived there, that's when I picked up hockey. One of the first things we did was go to the Hall of Fame. So I started playing hockey because my family lived in Toronto, stayed there for 4 years, and then moved back to LA, all for my dad's job. He works in radio, so bounced around because of that, but picked up hockey in Toronto that first stint. And then, came back here, kind of had to pick between hockey and baseball. Those were my two big sports, and picked hockey and loved it, ran with it. Played for California Heat near my house, and then made the jump up to the Ducks, played AAA, and then eventually for Bantam, I went to the Junior Kings. So I played 2 years there, and then after that, 14 years, kind of a weird year in California, especially at that time where a lot of guys were leaving home, whether it was for prep school. We had guys go up to like British Columbia to play up there, try and go in the WHL, all sorts of stuff. And the thing that really worked for me and my family was actually one of my best friends from Canada invited me to go live at his house and play minor midget hockey in Toronto for the OHL draft year. Go to a good private school with him and live with his family. So I ended up doing that, had a great time there with that family, played a great year of hockey there. And then unfortunately COVID hit. So
that was for Don Mills, right?
Yeah.
Don Mills, and then, okay.
Yeah, I played Don Mills Flyers my minor midget year, 15s. And then COVID hit in March of that year. I went home from Toronto for spring break and never went back. So with COVID in Canada, there was a ton of restrictions. Kids didn't end up playing that next year, and I kind of saw that coming. My advisor kind of saw that coming, so we thought the best move for me for hockey was to go back to the States, whether it was going back to California to play 16 AAA or to figure out somewhere in prep school. So while I was in Toronto, I actually got the opportunity to talk to the Salisbury coach's dad. His whole family's out in Toronto, so his dad came and watched me play. Introduced me to the coach of Salisbury, kind of got me familiar with the prep school path because I hadn't really known much about it. And I ended up touring there on my way home for spring break. Loved it. Just loved the culture of prep school, how close everybody seemed. And I got to watch one of their playoff games against Kimball Union. Adam Fantilli was in the game.
Those are 2-6 schools, like really good programs. Kimball, Salisbury, right? Yeah.
Yeah, two of the top programs. So I got to go see probably the best prep hockey game I could have seen at that time, and was really blown away by the school and then obviously the hockey. So I went there for my junior and senior year. Absolutely loved it. Won an Elite 8 championship there. Had a kid on our team drafted to the NHL, to the Bruins, had tons of D1 commits. So we were just a really good team and just really tight knit more than anything. And then, yeah, I played well. I actually signed a tender with the Northeast Generals in the NAHL at the beginning of that year. And then as the year progressed, I started talking to the Wenatchee Wild and the BCHL. And just for me and my family, I thought the BCHL was a higher skilled league at that time, which I thought that kind of played into my game, which I ended up being wrong about, but we'll get to that later. And I signed that tender with Wenatchee and cut my ties with Northeast, but I was really excited to go play juniors, get to be back on the West Coast for the first time in 3 years, which is hard as a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid playing out east away from your family. Never lived away from home. So I was really excited to be back on the West Coast, like a short flight away from home. And then obviously playing for a sick team in the Wild.
Yeah, Wenatchee is a sick program.
Yeah. So that was it was a tough year for me personally. I didn't get a ton of ice time, kind of rode the bench, but got to learn from some really, really good players. And then after that year, they went to the WHL. So another factor that I couldn't really control.
Right.
Before, obviously, WHL kids could play in the NCAA. So kind of forced to switch teams, and I was lucky to talk to 5 or 6 NAHL teams before the draft. And Kenai was the team that ended up taking me, and I had a great 2 years there.
Yeah. That's definitely not a very straightforward, typical journey.
No,
I would
not
say,
at all.
because I mean, LA to Canada, prep school, and then 2 different junior leagues. That's definitely unique. So let's unpack that. I actually want to learn a little bit more about how hockey, going back to your minor midget year in Ontario and Toronto, like how the hockey scene is there. Could you kind of speak on like how just the GTHL, right?
Yeah.
Like how that's like how good is that league? What can you expect, and the types of teams that are in that?
Yeah.
sphere?
I mean, it's super competitive. I mean, that's all everybody cares about in Toronto is the GTHL and playing AAA hockey. It's a huge deal. And then obviously in that OHL draft year, ton of pressure too from coaches, parents, yourself wanting to put on a good show. But it was a really, really high skilled league. It was really fast, and it was really intense. Like there's forums where different parents, coaches, scouts are anonymously like leaving reviews on kids' games and whether or not they're going to have success in the OHL.
Like what round they're going to go in, right?
Exactly. Like I remember in class, like looking at this forum talking about like Ebbott's shot is going to get him into the WHL, or his skating is going to hold him back, or Don Mills is a mess of an organization this year. They can't figure it out. Like it was like my first taste of having outside feedback
like
in hockey.
Feedback, right.
Yeah, like in California, I mean, there's plenty of talk and stuff like that, but nothing compared to
or in Canada, right?
Yeah, where it's just the talk of the town, and people are not afraid to criticize 15-year-old kids. So there's a lot of pressure, but pressure is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Maple Leafs, right?
Exactly.
One of the hardest hockey markets to play in, because like you said, there's just so much pressure on those guys, and it just sucks. Obviously, they never win the cup, but it's like every single year the fans just light them up. Always, it's tough to play in Toronto in general.
Yeah,
and and then from there, it looks like the OHL Cup is the main scouting event, right?
Yeah,
for the GTHL.
Yeah, we didn't. Unfortunately, our team didn't make it, so I think it actually got canceled for COVID that year.
Oh, okay.
We wouldn't have made it anyways. We weren't a great team. But I think the OHL Cup did end up getting canceled because that would have been the 2019-2020 season. So it was like March of 2020 that would have happened. So I believe it was canceled that year.
Right, because that's like a huge scouting event for all kids, all minor edge kids that are in that that tournament. But then transitioning into prep school, I went to prep school too. I loved it, had a great time. But Salisbury is one of the top programs, and it's kind of an interesting school because it's kind of out there in like kind of rural Connecticut, right?
Yep.
And it's also all boys. I guess, how did you feel about just, I guess that environment, looks like you said you didn't mind it. You actually really enjoyed your time, the atmosphere, right?
Yeah, I think I actually went to the all boys. The school I went to in Toronto was all boys too.
Okay.
So I had a year of all boys school already under my belt. I liked it a lot more as a boarding school than I did as like a day school. I think
Right.
when you're at a boarding school, when it's all boys, it kind of just gives you the freedom to be yourself more than anything. I think those are pretty awkward years for some kids, and just being able to live with your buddies, go to class with your buddies, go to practice with your buddies, go to get dinner every day with your teammates, your friends. It creates an environment where you can become really close, and there's not a lot of things you got to worry about other than just getting your work done and showing up on time to practice. So it really takes away all the distractions, which, those distractions are harder for some kids than they are for others. But
Right.
for me, it was just fun. It was a great experience. Like, hockey team supports lacrosse teams, the hockey and lacrosse teams support the football teams. Just like the level of community at that school was something that stuck out to me, and I kind of brought with me everywhere else I went. Like, just how, everybody supports each other, whether it's through the games, through a big assignment they have coming up. Like, I think prep school really teaches community really well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would say that you're kind of, when you're in kind of that environment, it's very conducive to just always keeping busy.
Exactly.
Because they always have something for you to do, whether that's something community service or, the workload, or it's sports, because they always want you to play a sport every season, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like prep school too, because it was just a very just conducive environment to just keep busy and just be productive and prepares you for college. So I enjoyed it too. Did you say you won an Elite Eight championship?
Yeah, my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah, my junior year was still like a COVID year, so we just played 15 games, 10 of which against Avon Old Farms. So got 10 games in against one of the best. I mean, arguably us and them are the top two prep schools at that time. So getting to play against them 10 times, like, really kind of iron sharpened iron there. Like, both of us were really good teams going into that next year. And then, yeah, we had a great team and a really close team more than anything. We were really, really good friends, did everything off the ice together. And by the end of the year, like, we felt like nothing was stopping us.
Yeah. 10 times is crazy.
Yeah.
10 games, that's a lot of time to see each other. I'm sure you got to know some of the other guys pretty well on Avon.
Oh, yeah.
So how many years did you spend there?
2.
Okay, so your junior, senior year.
Yes.
So then when did you start getting looks at from junior teams?
It wasn't until my senior year. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I talked a little bit with USHL teams my junior year, like, maybe we're going to draft you, your name's on our list, but it never was anything more than that. And then once I hit my senior year, those like first couple split season tournaments, I got to talk to some NAHL teams. And then, as that year progressed, Wenatchee has had an eye on a lot of the California guys, just because at that time they could only recruit from the Western states. So, midway through the year, they had approached me saying they watched me since I was like 13 years old. So
Really?
they had known me and a lot of the other guys my age since we were really young and just kind of following our path. And, as the year progressed, I just got closer with the scout and really thought that was going to be the best fit for me going forward.
There are a lot of California kids that went to Wenatchee, right?
I think
Quite a few, right?
I think that year we had over 10.
Really?
Yeah.
10? Is that many?
Yeah, we could only have 5 non-Western state kids. So we had to have, majority of our team had to be from California, Arizona, Colorado, or Washington.
Really? Because I thought the restriction was it just pertained to like Canadians, but you said it actually has to do with like the Western state.
Yeah.
I have to have that many.
At that
time.
Yeah, at that time, they were the only American team in the BCHL.
Right.
So instead of having to have 20 Canadians and you get 5 American imports, we had to have 20 kids from the Western states. And then our 5 imports were from the rest of the U.S., and then we got 1 Canadian import. So we had very different import rules, which forced Wenatchee to scout very differently and kind of follow these California kids from a young age, which led to a ton of us being on the team. But
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense then, yeah.
It also helped us, I think, too. Like, you know, we had guys who have been best friends since they were 7 years old that worked their way up and played together on a line the whole way and kind of brought in together. So we were a cohesive group there too.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now from your senior year of prep school to now the jump to the BCHL, what was that like? What was that experience?
It was really hard. I always was never the guy that put up over a point per game or, you know, blew people away with my offense. It was always a combination of being able to shut other teams' best players down and then being able to produce a little bit. So jumping in, I really bought into that defensive side, you know, being one of the youngest guys on the team, knowing that I wasn't going to be in the top 6 right away. Training camp for me was showing that I can work really hard. I'm really well conditioned, and I'm going to do the things that other people won't do, which is block shots, hit guys that are bigger, stronger than me, and do things like that. And I think having a camp where I was blocking shots and doing stuff like that really proved that I could play that 4th line role, which I ended up kind of getting pigeonholed into, which wasn't my favorite, but sometimes that's what it takes to get your foot in the door, is showing that you can do the things that other people don't want to do. So I didn't get a lot of ice time, but when I was out there, I knew I was going to do what my coach asked of me, which, you know, I think
that role, right?
Was that role, that 4th line role, hitting guys, blocking shots, doing the little things. So that's how I kind of found my way in juniors, at least to start. And then, as I kind of got older in juniors, more confident, I started to work in those other parts of my game. But that original transition was really hard for me. I struggled to make a lot of plays with the puck. I was chipping a lot, but I was being responsible because I knew that that's like what it took for me to stay on the team more than anything.
Right, yeah. So I think it's really important to know and kind of find your role as soon as you can.
Yeah.
So that you can be a valuable asset to a coach or a team, right? That's kind of your, I guess, take on things, and based on your experience, you would say, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's trying to find what the team needs, what the coach wants at that point in time, and then, you know, you got to get your foot in the door. That's the most important thing, is like showing you can block shots, or whether it's face-offs or, you know, as a defender, being able to shut guys down. Once you can get yourself in the lineup by doing those things, you can start to work on your offensive game more, or your, you know, dynamicness. But just to get your foot in the door, you kind of have to, at least for me, I had to find something that the team didn't have and, you know, bring value to the table.
Yeah. And then after that season in the BCHL, that was when actually just all of a sudden flipped to the dub.
Yeah.
I think when I heard about that, it was kind of a shock to everyone.
Yeah.
No one kind of knew it was coming. Like there was even like a camp that was held.
Yeah.
After the camp, they announced it, right?
Yeah.
So what was that? Like, were you in the middle of that? What happened with you?
Yeah, so I had some hip problems at the end of that year. So I had already planned on not going to the main camp. When ACHA holds a really early main camp, they do it in like late May, early June.
Wow, okay.
So it was pretty soon, right? We had made the playoffs that year, so it was like a month after the season had ended. They had a main camp.
Yeah.
So I knew that I wasn't going to go because of my hips. And I actually got a call from the coach after the camp saying, you know, you're going to play 4th line again next year. Like the guys we have here at camp, the guys who are coming back, like, we'll take you back, but it was almost like a nice way of getting cut. Like, we could take you back and you could play 4th line again, but I'm pretty sure neither of us want that. We want you to go be a guy somewhere else. So I actually got the opportunity to get released early and recommended to a lot of NAHL teams by my coach there. I identified that, you know, the BCHL was really skilled, and I really struggled to keep up with that my first year. And switching to the NAHL, which is just as good of a league, but just a completely different pace and style. Yeah, exactly. More physical. I knew that was probably the right call for me. So ended up kind of mutually leaving Wenatchee right after that main camp. But yeah, those kids, went to main camp, paid for main camp, thought they were going to the team next year. And then we all found out on Instagram.
Right, yeah.
And we woke up one morning and it was Wenatchee is moving to the WHL. Our group chat blew up. Yeah. I mean, half the team had to go switch and find a new place to play. And So I actually was lucky. I got a kind of a head start. I mean, I wasn't super thrilled that I had to go find a new team, but looking back at it, kind of a blessing in disguise that it gave me an extra 2 weeks to talk to some NAHL teams and try and get drafted, because that actually happened the week of the NAHL draft too. So there's all these kids who, think they're playing for Wenatchee next year, not talking to any other teams, not thinking about any other options because they think they got it all figured out. And then you got 4 days to prepare for the NAHL draft, whether it's reach out to teams or hope that they already know who you are and figure out a place. But luckily, everybody on that team ended up playing either in the BCHL, the NAHL, or even higher league, whether it's college or major junior. So everybody figured it out.
So everyone found a home.
Everybody did find a home, but it was a very stressful week in our group chat, and
Crazy.
it was insane.
I think even JT was at that main camp, and then he was one of the kids that just was like, "What the heck?" Like,
yep. My roommate from Salisbury, my senior year, he stayed another year, and then he came to Wenatchee's main camp, made the team, was ready to play for him. He was committed to St. Lawrence at the time, and just had to go find a new team. So it was really hard, but everybody seemed to figure it out, and we were a great team that year. So everybody was wanted somewhere.
that's good. I mean, at least for the most part, kids were able to find a way
Yeah.
to make it on a team. But now to the NAHL, jumping to in Alaska of all places.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? Now going to Alaska and Kenai?
Yeah.
It's been a crazy culture shock to play there.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a great host family. Shout out to Nick and Jess. They were awesome. Their 2 kids, Easton and Sutton. They were really, really cool. They just opened their house up, let everybody in with open arms. And that really makes the difference in juniors for me. I think having a family where you come home and you feel comfortable, even when you're in a place that's as far away as Alaska or as crazy as Alaska, when you come home to a family that you feel welcomed at and they're going to take care of you, that really, really helps and puts you at ease. So that was the biggest thing. They were super helpful for me. But Alaska's crazy. We had a ton of travel, which was really hard, I think, on your body, especially in juniors. You're playing 60 games and constant flights. So that was tough. But that was the first year where I had a great main camp for them, really thought that I could be a difference maker on the team. And that mindset, even going in of like, I'm not just scraping my way onto the team, like I'm here and I'm going to make a difference. Just having that mental space really helped me like instantly jump in as more of a contributor on that team to start.
Yeah, I talked to Ty Kriptoff, and he told me about the travel schedule that the Alaska teams have. And it's very interesting how they did it in Fairbanks. They had like almost like a second home in Minnesota.
Yep.
And they have like these long stretches of home games, and then even longer stretches of like away games where they just stay in the mainland US.
Yep.
And travel like within the country. Like, did you kind of have a similar like schedule in a way, right?
Yeah, ours was the same. So we had 2 different billet families, one in Minnesota, one in Alaska. So our season started like with training camp in Minnesota, and we stayed there through the showcase. So played, 3 or 4 regular season series in the lower 48, and then did the showcase. And then we were up to Kenai from like October to December, where it was primarily home games, and then a couple games against Anchorage and in Fairbanks as well. But it was basically couple months on, couple months off, whether it was Minnesota or Alaska. But yeah, it's crazy going back and forth. But when you have those billet families that, you feel comfortable with, it does make a huge difference with that travel, and knowing you have a place to sleep and a place that's going to feed you really well. And that really helps with the travel. And yeah.
So, I mean, but then the difference in style of leagues, I mean, I guess if you're just like talking to new players, what can they expect when they come into the NAHL?
It's physical. It's
general, yeah.
It's physical, and teams are going to carry a ton of guys. So,
got it.
At the start of the year, we had 6, 7, 8 lines of forwards, like at training camp. You have 40 something guys, and you got to cut down to 25 basically by the end of the showcase. By the time we fly from Minnesota to Alaska, is kind of when our team got our number down to about 27. But those first couple weeks, you're just grinding against your friends, which it's tough because you're buddies with them off the ice, but once you get on the ice, you're really competing for a spot more than anything else. So that league is physical, it's fast, so you really just have to go in and be ready to compete. You can't feel bad for your friend if you take the puck from them and score in practice. It's like
That's what you have to do.
It's me or you. Basically, in that league, it's cutthroat. You can get cut, you can get traded at any moment, it can be daunting, or you can kind of take it and run with it. Like, I'm here and I'm not leaving.
Yeah, that's how you should see it.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, the overall, your season though, obviously you said a better season.
Yeah.
For playing the NAHL for Kenai. But I think it was during that season that the CHL rule change happened, right? And that kind of, I'm guessing, affected your college outlook, right?
Yeah, I think once I was in Kenai, I mean, being in Alaska, it's tough to get recruited regardless of that CHL. I think like the showcase is really important when you're on those Alaskan teams, because that's really the only time you're going to get a ton of eyes on you in person like that. But then, yeah, once the CHL stuff came out, I mean, I already had thought of myself as a very, fringe D1 guy. If I'm going to go D1, it's going to be because I can lock down the other team's top players, because I can win faceoffs, because I can penalty kill. I knew that like that was my best chance as a role player. So when that came out, kind of started to switch my focus on, where do I really want to go to school? Like, that education has always been really important with my family. So it stopped being, where can I play the best hockey, but where can I go to school and then also play hockey?
Right.
So that's when my mindset really started to shift, whether it was Division III, Division I, ACHA. The first priority was the school. And then, after that, what can I get out of hockey? How can I use my hockey to get me into different schools and give me new opportunities, whether it's D1, D3, ACHA, it didn't matter. You can still use your hockey experience to help you get into different places, and, having good grades in prep school. And as a kid, that was really important. So, I by doing that, I left a lot of options open for myself. I had the grades, and then I could use the hockey to kind of help me get to where I wanted to go.
Yeah. So I guess like you said, you switched your focus to more education.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's very important. A lot of people, and I agree with this too, that you should actually use hockey to your advantage to get a good education. Hockey doesn't quite have to be the end all be all. You could use it to advance your life in other ways, like education.
Exactly.
Did you get hurt toward the end of your junior year?
Yeah.
I was going to ask like how that affected you.
Yeah, while I was in Kenai, I had some tough luck. Like I mentioned in Wenatchee, I was starting to have some hip problems. And my first year in Kenai, hip problems were only getting worse. Just lifting my knee up above my waist was really bugging me. So walking upstairs, like even just a small stride, anything hurt on both of my hips. So when we kind of got to a point in February or so where, we were not going to make the playoffs as a team, I met with the coaches and the trainers, and at that point I had known that both my labrums were torn and both my hips.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and I had some bone problems with my hip bones, and, I had 1 year of eligibility left. Team wasn't great that year. We had a big group of, younger guys. We had traded away a lot of our 20-year-olds, so we had a good group coming back that next year. And after having that meeting, with my coaches and trainers, we decided that probably best for me to go home and get the surgeries that I needed to help my hips. And so I went home in February of my first year in Kenai, had 2 hip surgeries 6 weeks apart in February and April. And then kind of worked my ass off that summer to get healthy. And I was, basically ready to go by the showcase of that next year. So It was tough. It was hard, but it really made my body feel a lot better. I felt like I could actually skate without constant pain.
So they really helped, the surgeries.
Yeah, I was really glad I did it. It didn't miss. I mean, I obviously missed being with my teammates, my friends, and if I could finish out that year, I would have, but that would have meant missing, almost up until Christmas of the next year. So it was really about, my 20-year-old season, being as healthy as possible and trying to put on the best, play the best I could for that last year, hoping to earn a scholarship. So I was really happy with my decision to do that. It was hard, but it ended up working out. And then my final year at Kenai, I actually had 2 concussions in like the span of a month.
Oh, dude. Sucks. Wow.
Yeah. So I had a concussion December 10th or so, went home for Christmas, came back, was in a red jersey and took a hit from behind in practice.
In practice?
Yeah.
Oh.
And at that point, the CHL was where it was at. I was on well outside looking in on Division I. It was kind of going to have to take a miracle of a second half there for me to earn that. And, I ultimately decided that my health was more important. And after that second concussion, I just decided to go home. And I had a couple D3 options still on the table. I had been open and honest with them, and they were understanding of the situation and supported me going home and, resting my brain. And I still had those options to go Division III. But, after the surgeries, I mean, those were my 4th and 5th concussions.
Oh, wow. So you had previous ones before?
I had previous ones before juniors as well. And, the combination of the injuries and, honestly, just a little bit of burning out, kind of being sick of constant practice and working out and, grinding. I really was ready to, play a level lower than I had been before and, ignore those D3 options and, look for something in the ACHA where, I could go to a school that was on the West Coast, didn't have to go way out east, would be a lot better financially for my family. And then just the workload with hockey, it's less, and it's less stress with, constantly getting cut and being in and out of the lineup. So I was really just looking to, be a little bit closer to home, still get to play the sport I love. I mean, I didn't lose my love of the game. I love playing hockey. We played beer league over the summers, I love doing it, but it was time for me to slow down the competitiveness just a little bit. And I've been really happy with that decision.
Yeah. But now, I mean, hey, ACHA is getting a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Like the top ACHA teams, they're, those top teams are beating, like last year, they beat Denver in a shootout.
Yeah.
It's like ACHA hockey with the CHL rule changes becoming a lot better, a lot more competitive. So it's a real option for, kids like you who play the NAHL. Other good tier 2 leagues are going to be joining the ACHA. So it's not, you shouldn't rule it out if you're looking at different options for college, right? So
absolutely.
Oregon plays a pretty competitive schedule, right?
Yeah.
You guys play UNLV. You guys play like other top teams, right? So I guess could you explain to some people like how, I guess, your schedule is and the way it works at Oregon? Yeah.
So we practice 3 times a week. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. It's bright and early in the morning. We're on at 7:30 to 8:30. But I've actually really loved that schedule. 3 times a week has been perfect. Like, you play over the weekend and you have that Monday off to kind of relax, and we'll have a workout or, a recovery session on Monday nights. So that's always good to, get in the gym and kind of sweat it out a little bit. But then, the 3 practices a week compared to 3 1-hour practices a week compared to, the 4 or 5 2-hour practices. Yeah. I mean, we're still a super competitive team. We all work our asses off. Like, it's not like we're out there just for fun. Like, we want to go out there. We want to win. Like, we want to be competitive, but it's just a little bit toned down on the practice. And then I've loved practicing in the mornings. Honestly, you get to wake up, start your day early. You feel productive right away. And then, you're kind of up and ready for class instead of you're just rolling out of bed, going to your morning classes. So it's helped me with school too, honestly, to like wake up early and get into that.
Yeah, we're the opposite here. We practice at night.
Oh, okay.
At like 9:30 at night. So that's kind of the opposite. I kind of sometimes wish we had morning practices, but because like you said, it is a nice start to your day when you hop on the ice. But I'm not sure with some of our schedules how that would work. But I wanted to actually ask kind of how popular is the team on campus? Sort of, yes, no. I'm curious how like the recognition it gets.
Yeah, our jerseys are more popular than the team itself.
Yeah.
So
I believe that.
Yeah, our jerseys are awesome. They're really cool. We sell 4 different colors. And so, whenever there's a football game that has a certain color scheme, you can see a couple hockey jerseys walking around. But no, I think it's starting to gain recognition. I think we do a good job as a team. Like we table a lot. So we set up a table on campus, sell our jerseys, just have a big sign. And a lot of people will just come up and ask, like, we have a hockey team? Like, where do you guys play?
Right.
So as a freshman this year, I'm not like as knowledgeable of how popular the team is, but it seems like it's starting to grow. I think we have a really good team this year. So we've been pretty exciting to watch. And, with the cool jerseys, at least it starts to bring people in. And then once they kind of learn more about it, they get more involved.
How close is your rink to campus?
We're about less than 10 minutes away. And our school, Oregon, actually does a great job. They help us out. They run a free shuttle from campus to the rink for students. So it helps get people in seats. We do student ticket prices. So they do a really good job supporting us and like trying to make it accessible for students to come to our games, even though they aren't on campus. And every game we've had this year at home has had a great crowd. It's been a lot of fun. Definitely more popular than I expected. So we have a great crowd.
That's great. I mean, I wish our rink was 10 minutes from campus. We have to drive like a whole 45 minutes or an hour to the Cube up in Santa Clarita, but it does help. I will say that your rink is on campus. And, but yeah, that's awesome. Do you see, I think maybe on social media it's been talked about a little bit. Do you see Oregon maybe going D1 at some point, NCAA? Has there been talks about that or not really?
Honestly, not really. I mean, at least at our at the player level, we haven't heard much about that. I think that's a big question with funding from the school, which I think Oregon could definitely make it happen. Right. I think it's more of a case of somebody else has got to knock over the first domino. Like once there's somebody's got to jump and be the first team to jump to Division I on the West Coast, and then once there's one. I think other teams will start to follow. So I don't know if that's us, if it's UCLA, USC, any of these big Western schools. If one of them does it, I think others will jump on the train because then you can create a conference and shorter travel times. So no, I haven't really heard much about it, but I think it's definitely a possibility, and I think our school probably would not be against it. If there's a conference and a league to be had.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine like UCLA, Oregon, ASU.
Bring back the Pac-12.
Yeah, literally bring back the Pac-12 and even maybe include some Alaska teams to kind of create like this whole Western States, conference. I think that would be cool in D1 hockey.
And I think people would love to come play on the West Coast. I mean, Canadian kids think, you get an opportunity to go play Division I hockey in Los Angeles, who's going to turn that down? Yeah,
I feel like the selling point would not be that hard to get kids to come play out here. So it's, one day that's the hope. I think it's not too far off. I think in hopefully next 5 years.
Yeah, we're definitely trending in that direction.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, this has been great, man. Thank you for your story, your time. I feel like you have a very unique journey that, because of how many teams and places you bounced around, that you provided a cool perspective on different areas of regions of hockey.
Yeah.
So really appreciate you for coming on, share your experience, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, I mean, everybody's path is different. You got to go where you know, you're going to be happy and where you think you're going to succeed. So
Yeah. Well, thank you, man.
yeah, thank you.